Zijian Jason, and I'm presenting our work, TalkTive, a conversational agent using Backchannels to engage older adults in neurocognitive disorder screening. This work is done with Jiawen Kang, Tinky, Kang, Wong, Helene, Fung, Helen, Meng, and Xiaojuan. The rapidly aging global population is imposing challenges to healthcare systems across nations. Over 55 million people worldwide are living with dementia, a common type of neurocognitive disorder, NCD, in 2020. And the global cost of NCD exceeded the threshold of $1 trillion in 2018. To look on the bright side, NCD has been shown to be controllable if patients can get access to early diagnosis and timely preventive interventions. This presents a necessity for a scalable approach in screening cognitive impairments among older adults. Conversational agents, CAs, have great potential in NCD screening. Backchannels, a kind of listener's response intending to hear from the speaker instead of taking a turn, could be applied to CAs to engage older adults and elicit conversational speech for NCD screening. As an initial step, this paper presents research in developing the backchanneling ability in CAs in the form of a verbal response to engage the speaker. This study includes 3 stages: data analysis of real-world cognitive test conversations, development of backchanneling algorithms, and user evaluation of a proof-of-concept system. The language we studied was Cantonese, a low-resource language. In Stage 1, we analyzed 246 conversations of Montreal Cognitive Assessments, MOCA, between older adults and human assessors, and derived the categories and coding scheme of reactive backchannels, RBCs, that yeah, which showed understanding and agreements to the speaker, and proactive backchannels, PBCs, that anything else, which encourages the speaker to speak more. The iterated reliability of our coding scheme is tolerance kappa 0.803. Data analysis on RBCs and PBCs in those conversations shows the interval before PBCs might be longer than that of RBCs, as the number of PBCs given by expert assessors varied along 3 dimensions. Within task, PBCs given throughout the progress of a task, between tasks, PBCs given in 2 kinds of tasks, and between subjects, PBCs received by different participants. Given the difference in functions and timing between RBCs and PBCs, we developed 2 different models to generate these 2 kinds of backchannels separately. For RBC prediction, a series of experiments were conducted to obtain the best performing configuration of features and models, and we selected the combination of compare features and SVM model and used RBCs coded in data analysis as training data. When a speaking interval was detected, the previous speaking utterance followed by this interval would be segmented. Then, the speaking utterance was fed into OpenSpell feature extractor to obtain selected compare features, and those features were used by the trained SVM model to make RBC predictions. Considering PBC prediction based on insights of data analysis, placing PBCs after a fixed length pause was not enough. Hence, we introduced progress score, pause score, and participant score to give adaptive PBCs. Participant score was calculated by passing the speech of the exact same sentences to SVM model. In a certain task, progress score was updated as the task was going on, and when speaking intervals occurred, pause score would be calculated as the length of the pause at that timestamp. Those 3 scores were independently calculated, and a weighted sum of those scores was used to trigger PBCs. The threshold of the sum score was dependent on the task. To evaluate our backchanneling algorithms, we developed TalkTive, a conversational agent which can predict both timing and form of backchanneling during cognitive assessments. It mimicked a cognitive assessment with 9 preset tasks. Our study invited 36 older adult participants, aged from 61 to 84 with an average of 72.4. We evaluated the backchanneling features in 3 conditions: condition 0 with no backchannels, condition 1 with only RBCs, condition 2 with both RBCs and PBCs. 12 participants were assigned to each condition. Here is an example of how older adult participants interacted with the system.
雞鵝鴨都係咁多咯。
繼續啊，爸爸。
繼續啊？有呢個唔知喎，真係。
仲有乜嘢啊？
好似冇乜咯喎。天鵝鸚鵡。
We invited a trained assessor to evaluate 518 RBCs, 131 PBCs given to 24 participants in condition 1 and 2. Around 89% of system-generated backchannels were validated as appropriate. Participants' ratings on the post-study questionnaire show that our system with proper backchanneling features were not perceived as disturbing by older adults. There is no significant difference among 3 conditions in participants' ratings on those negative statements. She seemed impatient, she interrupted me, and she seemed cold and unfriendly. And the user interview indicated that PBCs were more appreciated by older adult participants than RBCs, especially when they ran out of answers and were about to give up. Here are 2 quotes of participants in condition 2 with both RBCs and PBCs. I think it was operated by a human. For example, just now when I had not answered, it was listening to me carefully and encouraged me in the meantime, just like doing Q&A with you in person. It felt like that. While I was thinking, it said, keep going. So I would really think about the answers, much better than if it didn't give any response, because it made me feel like that there was really a person there. Take your time, not like facing a cold computer. Those quotes indicated that PBCs were appreciated by older adults in the context of cognitive assessments. That's the end of my presentation. If you want to know more, please check our paper and feel free to contact me. Thank you for watching.